Has it ever occurred to you that behind Jungkook's warm smile and light laughter, there is a feeling that he has been keeping tight? Many see it as BTS's Magne, who are always cheerful and full of energy, but a small gesture that was almost missed actually triggered a big question mark among the ARMY. What does Jungkook really feel when he sees V's closeness to the Wooga Squad that is so strong and unshakable? V's relationship with the Wooga Squad is no secret. The friendship, which was formed long before the world's spotlight fell on BTS, looks sincere, mature, and full of warmth. From shared vacation moments to discreet behind-the-scenes support, Wooga Squad is always on V's side. However, at the same time, some fans began to notice Jungkook's expression change every time the topic came up. A slightly restrained smile, a look that seemed to say a lot, and a short pause before he resumed his normal behavior. All felt too real to ignore. Is it just a fan feeling too sensitive? Or is it an emotion that has never been expressed? Jungkook is known as a figure who rarely expresses jealousy openly. He prefers to keep it in silence, allowing the feeling to turn into motivation or even unspoken longing. In some moments, he looks more reserved when V tells him about Wooga Squad, as if there is an emotional space that suddenly feels foreign to him. What makes this story even more touching is the fact that the jealousy does not come from dislike, but from the depth of the bond. Jungkook and V have gone through so much together, from trainee days to the peak of popularity. Seeing V have such a solid circle of other friends might elicit mixed feelings, between pride, awe, and fear of losing the closeness they've been keeping. No direct confession, no explicit words. But precisely therein lies her emotional shock. Jungkook's jealousy, if it exists at all, appears in its most human form, silent, subtle, and barely perceptible. A reminder that behind the status of global stars, they are still people with fragile and sincere feelings. And perhaps unknowingly, it's those feelings that strengthen their bond, not stretch it. And it was at this point that many in the ARMY began to wonder, did Jungkook ever feel like he was outside of that circle? Not because he's unloved, but because V's closeness to the Wooga Squad has a history that he can't just walk into. There are moments, memories, and experiences that only they have. A small world that Jungkook can only see from a distance, without really being a part of it. A few simple moments only strengthen the conjecture. The way Jungkook responded to V's story with a short laugh and then switched the subject, or how he chose silence when the names of the Wooga Squad were called. There is no anger, nor coldness. There is only silence that feels louder than words. A silence that seems to harbor the feeling of, I want to stay close, but I know there is a space that is not mine. But that's exactly where the most touching side of Jungkook emerges. Instead of letting that feeling turn into distance, he chose to stay on the V side. He supports, encourages, and shows his affection in a more subtle way. It's as if he understands that loving someone, in whatever form, also means letting them have another world that makes them happy. What is rarely realized, this kind of emotional maturity is often invisible. Jungkook never demanded more attention, never asked for recognition. He is simply present, consistent, and faithful. And perhaps that's precisely the reason why the bond between Jungkook and V feels so strong. Because behind the pent-up jealousy, there is much greater trust. Ultimately, this story is not about competition or negative feelings, but rather about very human emotional dynamics. It's about how Jungkook learns to accept and how V keeps the balance between his old friendship and the bond he has built with BTS. A story that is never told plainly, but feels real to anyone who watches it with their heart. Even after all those little clues were strung together, there was still one layer of emotion that was rarely touched. Jungkook's jealousy is not about fear of being replaced, but rather about a sense of wanting to remain part of V's safe space. There is a very subtle fear, the fear of missing out on simple moments, carefree chats, or the mutual understanding glances that used to feel exclusive between them. And this kind of feeling often arises precisely when the bond is already too valuable to risk. Some observant fans noticed that in certain moments, Jungkook actually became more attentive to V. Small gestures, deliberately directed jokes, or protective attitudes that appear unnoticed. As if there was an unspoken message. I'm here. Don't forget. Not a demand, not a protest. Just a gentle reminder born of a deep sense of caring. Interestingly, V seemed to understand that silent language. In some moments, he seems to come back closer, including Jungkook in laughter or conversation, making room so that no one feels left alone. Without the need for open clarification, without drama. Only two people read each other's feelings, far beyond words. That's where a lot of the ARMY was touched. Because what is seen is not a conflict, but a process of mutual understanding. Jungkook learns to be at peace with his own feelings, while V points out that having another circle of friends doesn't diminish the meaning of the bond that has been built. On the contrary, it shows an emotional maturity that is rarely seen in the spotlight of the entertainment industry. Maybe that's why this story feels so powerful. Because it is not wrapped in excessive sensations, but is present in the most honest form. Pent-up jealousy, unspoken concern, and slowly growing understanding. All fused into a story about two friends who choose to take care of each other, even though their world is getting wider. And in the end, the question again arises, but with a different meaning. Not anymore is Jungkook jealous, but rather, how deep does this relationship mean to them? The answer may never be revealed directly. But for those who are watching with their hearts, the answer seems obvious, and that's precisely what makes it so emotional.